Meghan Markle and Prince Harry always talk about being open, right? But man, they sure act super sneaky sometimes. When their son Archie was born, it was supposed to be this big, happy day. A new baby in the royal family. But now, people are arguing about it, and their story's starting to fall apart. Why are you acting all hush-hush about the birth? Unless you're hiding something like a secret plan, it makes everyone think something strange is going on. It all started with the hospital. Or, well, nobody's sure if Meghan was even there. They said she had Archie at Portland Hospital in London. But for a royal baby, you'd expect tons of guards, locked doors, and reporters everywhere. But people who worked at the hospital said May 6, 2019 was just a boring day. No special rooms, no fancy stuff, nothing to show a royal baby was born. Okay, sure, they wanted privacy, and that's cool. But when you're in a super famous family like the royals, and you share news in a super controlled way, it looks fishy if things don't add up. The thing is, people love the royals and support them. But the first rule of being famous is, don't lie. And here's where things get messy. There's no hospital record with Meghan's name. Nobody saw security cars coming or going. And weirdly, no big royals, not even the Queen, visited the hospital that day. That's not just odd, it's totally wild for a royal baby. And there's more. 2 days later, Harry and Meghan showed off their baby to the world. But Meghan looked way too perfect, like she was in a photo shoot, not like a mom who just had a baby. She stood super stiff, her face looked fresh, and Archie was wrapped so tight in a blanket you couldn't even see his face. It didn't feel sweet. It felt like a big show. Back then, people online went crazy with theories. But most folks said, just let them have their privacy. Now, with new secrets leaking out, people are looking at those photos again, and they're noticing weird stuff. Like the birth certificate. It's a big deal. Usually, both parents sign it. But Meghan didn't. Instead, someone from the palace turned it in days later, and Meghan's name wasn't even on it. No royal doctor signed it, no royal signatures, nothing. That's a huge problem. Some parts were even blacked out. For a couple who cares so much about how they look to the world, staying quiet about this makes it seem like they're hiding something. Why not just sign the paper? Why hide anything? People who know stuff say Meghan didn't want the Queen's doctors. She picked her own private ones instead. That sounds like a mom making her own choice, right? But royal babies aren't just regular babies. They're a big deal for the country. Every royal mom before, like Princess Diana or Kate, followed the rules. Meghan, she totally ignored them. Then, they made workers sign secret papers saying they couldn't talk. Some helpers weren't even allowed in parts of their house, Frogmore Cottage. And get this, the Queen didn't even know what was going on. Yup, the Queen found out about Archie's birth from a news report, just like us. Behind the palace doors, people thought this wasn't just drama. It was like Meghan and Harry didn't trust the royal family. The Queen was super upset. She'd seen tons of real babies born, all done with class and honesty. Meghan's secret plan felt like a big mess, like she didn't care about royal rules or trust. Now, years later, hospital workers are talking, and secret papers are leaking out. The story they worked so hard to tell is falling apart, fast. And the truth? It's starting to come out. One of the weirdest things is how hard they tried to control everything, and that just made it worse. When Meghan said no to the royal doctors and picked her own, she made it so nobody could check if her story was true. No palace people watching, no familiar helpers, just her private team who only answered to her. When you hide stuff like that, people believe you, until someone figures it out. Now, we've got secret notes, hospital workers, and even a guy who used to guard the royals all saying the same thing. There's no proof Meghan was moved with security on the day Archie was born. That's a big deal. Every royal birth has a plan. Guards, fake cars to trick people, secret rides, and tons of planning. It's not something you can skip. It's a must. But nothing was written down. That's not just a small mistake. It's a huge gap in their story. Even inside the royal house, people were like, "This is weird." Workers started whispering about how their home, Frogmore, was super locked up and some workers couldn't even go in certain rooms. Important helpers said they weren't invited to big meetings. Nobody knew where Meghan was having the baby, well, or even if she was. When they finally said Archie was born, it just got messier. They said Meghan was in labor hours after Archie was already here. They said she was still at the hospital when she'd already left. The timeline was all wrong. News people tried to make sense of it, but nothing worked. Then, people online started talking about the moon bump thing. Some experts and internet detectives looked at Meghan's baby belly in photos. In one video, it looked like it bent weird when she bent down. Most people thought it was funny at first, but with every strange choice, hidden paper, and missing detail, it stopped being a joke. Why did her belly look different one day to the next? Why was it up high one day and low another? Why did she always wear big coats, even inside? Most people wouldn't notice this stuff. But for a family where how you look is everything, it matters. And then there's Archie's name, Archie Harrison. It made people go, huh? Not because it's bad, but because it felt super chum, like a regular kid's name. Royals usually pick names to honor kings or queens from the past. They keep things traditional. But Archie? It sounds like a fun kid in a storybook. It's cute, easy to like, and very American. Some people think they picked it on purpose, to feel separate from the royal family, like something just for them, not part of the royal rules. The more you think about it, the more it feels like Archie's birth wasn't just a family thing. It was like a big plan to start their own brand. A way to keep the royal title, but skip the royal duties. A way to show off their new Sussex style while hiding the details. But it all comes back to one big question. Where was Meghan on May 6, 2019? If she wasn't at Portland Hospital, if she didn't have royal guards, if even the Queen didn't know what was happening, then where was she? Who was there? Who helped with the birth? And if their story doesn't match the facts, was it ever true at all? Everything about this birth feels super secret. And at some point, secrets stop looking like privacy and start looking like they're hiding something big. One of the worst parts is how they handled the legal stuff. Royal workers had to sign special secret papers just about Meghan's pregnancy, something they almost never do, even in a family that keeps things private. These weren't just regular don't talk papers. People say they were super specific, saying nobody could talk about how Meghan was feeling, where she was, or who was helping her in her last months. Workers who helped other royal moms before thought these rules were way too strict. Some weren't even allowed in parts of Frogmore Cottage. These weren't new helpers. These were trusted people who knew how royal births worked. And this wasn't normal. It didn't help that Meghan and Harry waited 8 hours to tell everyone Archie was born. By the time they said he was here, he was already born. Or so they said. A last-minute, confusing news report just made things crazier. And let's be real. For a couple who's always mad about reporters, they sure picked and chose what to share. And then there's what the Queen thought. People close to the palace, she wasn't just left out. She was totally shocked. The Queen didn't know about Meghan's hospital plans, didn't know when she was having the baby, and found out about Archie from the news, like us. That didn't just break the rules, it broke trust. The Queen might have acted calm on the outside, but inside the palace, Important people said she was really upset about how it all went down. If Meghan just wanted a private birth, she could have done it without changing everything. But instead, it looked like she wanted to control everything. The story, the pictures, the papers, even who knew what. And when you control things that much, it feels like you're hiding something. The biggest problem might be what the hospital says. New secrets say there's no proof Meghan gave birth at Portland Hospital that day. No special plans, no extra guards, no locked-off rooms, just a regular Monday. The kind of day that shouldn't happen for a royal baby. And now that those secret papers are expiring, or people are just ignoring them, people who stayed quiet before are starting to talk. And what they're saying isn't just surprising, it could change history. One royal guard said there was no secu, no fake cars, no planned ride, nothing. She didn't move with official guards. So if Meghan didn't go to the hospital, didn't sign the birth certificate, didn't have the Queen's okay, and didn't follow the usual doctor rules, then what really happened? Where was Archie born? Was Meghan even pregnant? Or was this all a big royal trick for the cameras and news reports? People have been asking these questions for years, and now answers are starting to come out. Slowly, carefully, but they're coming. And if even half of this is true, it won't just mess things up for Meghan and Harry. It'll shake up how the royal family deals with truth, old rules, and what it means to be a real royal. Because this isn't just about a baby. It's about their whole image, their big story. And if that story is built on lies, then everything they've said and done could fall apart.